She looked me up and down, smirked, and said, right in front of everyone, "You should probably try applying somewhere else." What she didn't know was that I'm the founder of the very company her husband clocks into every morning. I didn't argue, didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to, because I knew, just minutes later, the truth would explode like a bomb in that lobby. And the look on her face when it hit her, I'll never forget it. But that was only the beginning, because what she did next was even more shocking. Thank you for always being with us. Every view and every share from you means the world. If our stories have touched you, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Who knows, the next story might just have a piece of you in it. I never imagined I'd be standing in the lobby of a company I built from the ground up and be humiliated by my ex-girlfriend who thought I was there to apply for a job. I was holding a manila folder, someone else's application. One of our senior engineers had referred a candidate, and I offered to take the resume myself to HR on the way out. My driver was running a little late, so I figured I'd wait in the front lobby just to blend in. It's strange, but I guess I wanted to feel what it was like again. To stand in the exact spot I once stood 8 years ago, broke, desperate, and invisible. No one recognized me. That was the point, until I heard a voice behind me. "Logan, is that you?" I turned. Kara, the woman I once thought I'd marry. The girl who walked out of my life 6 years ago when I had nothing but a busted laptop and a dream. She looked as beautiful as ever, but colder, sharper. Next to her stood a man I instantly recognized, Kevin, one of the junior project analysts in my company. I had no idea they were together, but it didn't take long to figure it out. Kara tilted her head and smiled like she pitied me. "Wow, what are the odds?" she said. "Didn't expect to see you here. Looking for a job?" Kevin chuckled. "Yeah, there was a big recruitment post yesterday. Looks like they're taking in just about anyone now." I stayed silent, just nodded politely. But Kara wasn't done. "This place is pretty competitive," she added, flicking her hair. "Might be a bit out of reach if you don't have, real experience." Kevin leaned closer, mock whispering. "Hopefully they don't toss out your resume too quickly." They laughed, and I just stood there, still, calm, watching them make a fool of themselves. That's when my assistant rushed in from the elevator hallway. "Sir, so sorry I'm late. Your car's waiting at the executive entrance. The documents for the 2 p.m. Korea meeting are already prepped in the vehicle." Kara blinked. Kevin froze. I turned slightly. "Great. Oh, can you make sure this resume gets to HR? I think the candidate's got potential." I handed off the folder and turned to face them fully. Kara's smile was gone. Kevin's face was pale. I spoke softly but clearly. "I was just standing here for a few minutes to remember how far I've come." Kevin stammered. "Wait, you're the CEO?" I smiled. "I'm the founder." Silence. No one spoke. Not Kara. Not Kevin. The receptionist nearby had stopped typing. I walked out, stepped into my SUV, and glanced back through the tinted windows. Kara was still frozen in place, her mouth slightly open, eyes wide with something between shock and regret. And that moment, it didn't hurt. It felt like closure. But the story was far from over. I thought it would end there. I didn't want revenge. I didn't need Kara to get on her knees and apologize. I had loved her deeply, but that chapter was closed. Or so I told myself. Then came the boardroom presentation. Kevin showed up. Now, let me be clear, he's not a senior member of my company, just a mid-level analyst. Yet somehow, he was the one presenting a project proposal in front of our executive board that morning. Maybe his manager was out sick, or maybe someone up the chain figured he deserved a shot. Either way, there he was, standing in front of me. He looked like he hadn't slept. I couldn't tell if it was the nerves, or because he realized who'd be sitting at the head of the table. He stumbled through the presentation. Sloppy structure, no clear timeline, zero contingency planning. When he finished, I leaned back in my chair and asked, "If you were the lead on this, how would you handle the deadline delays?" Kevin froze. He didn't have an answer. He muttered something about cross-checking with another team. It didn't make sense. I nodded. "You can take your seat." The room was silent. I turned to my HR director. "After this meeting, Send me the latest competency reports for the entire project team. And I want a list of who approved this presentation structure. We may need a serious conversation about our internal quality control. Kevin sank into his chair, face drained of all color. That wasn't revenge. That was business. I wasn't going to let someone's incompetence cost my company millions just because I used to date his wife. But then something happened I didn't expect. Kevin messaged me that night. A text from an unknown number. I know I embarrassed myself today, but I need to tell you something about Kara. Something I think you deserve to hear. I almost ignored it. Almost. But that name, Kara, it still stirred something in me. We met the next evening at a quiet cafe downtown. He looked different, tired, defeated. Not a trace of the smugness I'd seen in the lobby. You know who I am now, right? I asked. He nodded. Not just the CEO, but her ex. The one she talks about when she thinks I'm asleep. That caught me off guard. I stayed quiet, waiting. He took a deep breath. She's never stopped thinking about you, he said. That day in the lobby, she was trying to convince herself she made the right choice. But she knows she didn't. She left you because she thought you had no future. But now, she realizes she left her heart behind. I leaned forward. So, what do you want, Kevin? He didn't blink. I want a divorce. I stared at him. We never loved each other, he continued. She married me because I had a steady paycheck. I guess she thought I was safe. But I'm tired of being the guy she settled for. He reached into his coat and pulled out a photo. Kara, sitting in a small, dimly lit room, my old apartment. In her hands was a faded white shirt, one I hadn't seen in years. On the table, next to her, was a crumpled sheet of paper. I knew what it was instantly. My first sketch of the company's layout. A blueprint I drew with a pencil and an empty stomach. It had coffee stains, burn marks from the radiator. She had saved it. She kept that all these years? I asked. Kevin nodded. And every time she got drunk, she'd cry and say your name. Something twisted in my chest. Not rage. Not sadness. Something heavier. She loved you, Kevin said. Maybe still does. But you don't owe her anything. He stood up. I just thought you should know. He walked away, leaving the photo on the table. I sat there long after he left, staring at the image like it was from a life I barely remembered. I thought I had buried the past. But that night, I realized the past had buried itself deep inside me. I didn't sleep that night. Every word Kevin said echoed in my mind. The photo, the shirt, the drawing from my old apartment. I thought I had moved on. I thought I'd closed that door forever. But pain doesn't knock when it returns. It just walks in like it never left. The next morning, Kara showed up at my office. No call, no appointment. She stood in the lobby like she didn't belong, looking lost, like a stranger in a place she used to imagine sharing with me. My assistant asked if she should be turned away. I told her to let Kara in, but not to the conference room, to my private office. When Kara stepped inside, it was like the air itself tensed. She wasn't wearing makeup, no designer bag, no fake smile, just her. "Thank you for seeing me," she whispered. I didn't speak. I just stared at her. The woman I once thought I'd build my life with, now standing in front of me like a ghost from another life. "I know I don't have the right to be here," she said. But after what happened, I couldn't keep pretending. I gripped the pen in my hand tighter. "You left me when I was broke, Kara. No warning, no explanation. Do you even know what those years were like for me?" "I do," she said, her voice cracking. "And I hated myself every single day. I kept telling myself you'd succeed anyway, that you didn't need me holding you back. But the truth is, I was a coward." She reached in her purse and pulled out a small velvet box, set it gently on the desk, opened it. Inside was the ring, the same silver band I gave her all those years ago. Cheap, worn, but it had meant everything to me back then. "I kept it," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "Even on my wedding day, I hid it in the bottom of my suitcase, because I knew a part of me never left you." I looked away. My chest tightened. This wasn't just a woman crying in front of me. This was every sleepless night, every moment I'd asked myself if I wasn't enough. And now she was here, asking me to reopen the wound. "What do you want from me, Kara?" I asked. She took a breath. "I don't want you to take me back. I don't deserve that. I just want you to know I'm sorry. And if this is the last time we speak, I'll accept that. I stood, walked to the window. The city stretched out before me. Skyscrapers, highways, people chasing dreams. I remembered walking these streets with nothing but hope and a resume printed at a public library. I remembered thinking Kara would be by my side through it all. And now I was alone, but stronger. I turned to her, walked over, and picked up the ring. It was cold in my hand, but for the first time in years, I didn't shake. I closed the box, slid it across the desk back to her. "I'm not angry anymore," I said, "but I also don't think I love you anymore." She nodded slowly. A single tear rolled down her cheek. "I understand," she said. "I really do." I looked her in the eyes. "You were part of the man I became. I'll never deny that. But I don't carry the past with me anymore. I carry the lesson." She broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet sob as she turned and walked out of my office, shoulders low, heart heavy. The door clicked shut behind her, and for the first time, I felt free. No more bitterness, no more what-ifs, just me, the future, and the peace that comes when you finally let go of the thing that used to hurt you. 3 weeks passed. I thought that was the end of it, that she'd said her piece, and we'd both walk away in silence, carrying our regrets like adults. I was wrong. One morning, my assistant walked into my office looking shaken. "Sir," she said quietly, "we just received a formal complaint." I raised an eyebrow. "From who?" "Kara." I stared at her. "She's filed a report with legal, claiming you abused your position as CEO to demote her husband. She's threatening to take it to the press." I sat back in my chair, jaw tightening. I hadn't demoted Kevin out of spite. I moved him to a different team after a unanimous recommendation from senior leadership. He wasn't performing. It was a business decision. But to Kara, this was a game. She thought she could twist the story, paint herself the victim again, and corner me into what? Regret? Remorse? I wasn't angry. I was disappointed. I called Kevin into my office. He entered slowly, not making eye contact. He looked like hell. "You know about the complaint?" I asked. He nodded. "I didn't agree to any of it," he said immediately. "She didn't even tell me. She thought if she made enough noise, you'd cave. Or maybe you'd come back to her." I didn't say anything, just looked at him. "You know," Kevin said after a moment, "I used to hate you, even before I met you. Because no matter what I did, she always looked past me, like she was waiting for something else to come back." He took a deep breath. "I've submitted my resignation. I can't do this anymore. I can't live in someone else's shadow." I nodded. I didn't try to stop him, not out of pride, but because I finally understood some people are meant to cross your path, not walk it with you. After he left, I sat there alone. The sun cast long shadows across my office. I looked out at the skyline I once dreamed of from a leaky apartment window. I thought success would erase the scars. I thought power would make me forget. But power doesn't heal. It just makes you quiet enough to finally hear the echoes. I opened my laptop. I don't post on social media often, but that day I did. Never underestimate the person you laugh at today, because the person you mock might be the one holding your future in their hands tomorrow. The post went viral. Thousands of comments poured in. People who'd been ridiculed, dismissed, written off. People who'd risen anyway. People who, like me, had learned that the best revenge is becoming untouchable. A month later, I saw her again. Kara, standing outside the building, like a ghost haunting a place she used to fantasize about. She didn't say much. "Can you ever forgive me?" she asked. I looked her in the eyes. "I already did," I said, "but there's no room for you in the life I've built now." She lowered her head. There was no fight left in her. No schemes. No games. Just silence. And then she turned and walked away. I didn't watch her go, because I wasn't chasing ghosts anymore. Sometimes the people who walked out on you come back because they realize what they lost. But that doesn't mean you have to let them in. Growth isn't about holding on to the past. It's about knowing when to let it stay there. And when you finally realize you don't need closure from the people who hurt you, that's when you know you've already won. Subscribe to the channel now and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next story about betrayal, revenge, and redemption. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's talk about it. See you in the next story.